Happy holidays, subscribers! It's PC the Unicorn. When I first made my YouTube channel, one of the things I wanted to talk about was comic books, particularly the MLP comics. Yet I never got around to making a video about any comics since I had other videos I wanted to make and I struggled with what comic I wanted to review. Well, that changes today since in the spirit of the holiday, I will be looking at MLP 2019 Holiday Annual Issue. Making his third appearance in the world of MLP comics, with his two previous entries being the From the Shadow arc of the main series and the 2017 annual, both of which I enjoy, James Asmus, forgive me if I'm butchering his last name, returns to work on the 2019 Holiday Annual, which tells two stories instead of one. The first story, Holiday Hassle, is focused on Weldy and Spike as they rush from place to place due to Weldy being invited to multiple parties for housewarming. When I first read the synopsis of this annual, I figured it would be the kind of story where a character tries to be in multiple places at once without telling their friend or family that they had a previous engagement. I personally find this trope annoying, so I'm thankful that James avoided this by having Weldy tell her friends that she'll simply divide her time at orgy parties so she can socialize and catch up with various ponies. If characters in this situation did this instead, the trope would honestly become much more bearable. From there, we see Weldy travel to the parties with Spike joining her due to not wanting her to be lonely while on the train ride to all of the places and because the two haven't gotten a chance just to hang out with each other. James does a great job at capturing both characters' personalities, with their dynamic being very entertaining to read, since Weldy's sophisticated and dramatic personality work hand in hand with Spike's straightforwardness and childlike nature. It's especially nice since with Spike's crush on Weldy finally being no more, he's able to interact with her just like he would anyone else. The overall conflict of the story and the lesson that ties into it is very effective. Due to arriving too early for the party at Canterlot and leaving just as the party begins to go to Manhattan, only to then leave to get back to the party in Canterlot again in order to keep Spike Primus on seeing the fireworks, Weldy starts becoming more concerned about her social status and starts ignoring Spike. It isn't until Spike is blunt with her and an unexpected avalanche results in the train being delayed and Spike missing the fireworks does Weldy finally learn her lesson. She was so focused on trying to have a fun time and making a splash that she ended up having almost no fun at all, despite the fact that she could have been having fun by talking to Spike, the friend who decided to sacrifice his evening plans so she wouldn't be lonely. It's a lesson that works quite well for a character like Weldy, who can get so easily swept up in the limelight that she can miss the most obvious things. The story ends with Twilight and Rainbow Dash arriving on the scene with medical ponies, with the former two taking Spike and Weldy back to the party at Applejack home as the group gather around the fire and enjoy the rest of housewarming together. I enjoyed the story overall since it had a heartwarming message that fits perfectly for the holiday season, and it had many funny moments ranging from the dialogue to all the background jokes. The art for this story was done by Andy Price, who has done the artwork for multiple MLP comics for years. He's probably my favorite artist for the comics since he's able to replicate the style of the show quite well while putting his own spin on it. His greatest strength is probably how he draws such expressive facial expressions for all of the characters. If I have any problems with the story, it's that the pacing could have been a bit better, since compared to the Canterlot party, the comic doesn't really display Weldy's unhappiness at the Manhattan party. Though the pacing could have been fixed if the entire annual was dedicated to the story, instead of adding in a second story which is only 4 pages long, Crumplehorn. Crumplehorn is a pretty straightforward story showing the Student 6 misbehaving during final times, which result in Pinkie Pie telling them they should be on their best behavior or else they'll have to deal with the Crumpelhorn. Crumpelhorn is basically the MLP equivalent of Krampus, with Pinkie Pie explaining how he pulls pranks on creatures who misbehave during the holiday and take them to a distant land to work on housewarming while others get to celebrate the holiday. Naturally, the students don't believe Pinkie at first, but when tricks are suddenly being pulled on them and Ocelus disappear without warning, it results in the rest of the Student 6 getting their act together in time for finals. Once they are gone, it's revealed that Pinkie Pie made up the story on the spot, with Ocelus simply being called home early and Discord being the quote-unquote Crumpelhorn. While the story has an interesting premise, it doesn't really get explored to its full potential due to it being so short. It would have worked much better if it was an individual issue or even an episode instead of being a tacked-on story that just messes up the pacing of a much better story. While I can't buy Smolder and Gallus misbehaving, characters such as Sandbar, Silverstream, and especially Yona misbehaving felt a bit out of character. But they are kids and it makes sense that they would be excited for break, so I suppose I can let it slide. The artwork for Crumpelhorn was provided by Trish Forstner, who from what I could find online haven't done much art for the MLP comic series. Compared to Price's art style, which uses more shadows and dark pastels, Forstner draws in a light pastel with less harsh shadows. While I do prefer Price's style, Forstner's style is quite good and the expression she drew for the exhausted students was quite amusing. Besides that, there's nothing else I can really say about the story since again, it's very short. So that's my review of the MLP 2019 Holiday Annual Issue. It was pretty fun doing a review of a comic for the first time and I hope you enjoyed it too. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell so you can be notified when I make a new video. If you want to follow me on social media, you can find the links to them in the description box below. Until next time, this is PC, logging off.